Thursday, and more generally to demand accountability to its stated purpose of protecting the interests and welfare of the student body. Last week, a resolution calling for divestment from companies that profit from the Israeli occupation of Palestine was barred from introduction. We are severely disappointed and angered by what we see as a failure of democracy.
In this very building 45 years ago, students demanded representation and were given the essay, which has become a group of politicians who are afraid of politics. A democratic institution that is afraid of conflict. Representatives who are terrified of their own constituents. We are here to tell you that you are not here to define our interests. We are here to define yours.
While the Student Assembly sits on its hands, Cornell University sits on an endowment. Our tuition goes up every year, yet the essay insists that a discussion of where our money comes from and where returns come from is off limits. How can this be? College is not a magical political vacuum in which our relationship to the world vanishes. This institution represents $5 billion in the global market. Its relationship to the world is ours as well. We are all implicated in all of the conflicts, controversies, struggles, and oppressions that we invest in, directly or indirectly, financially or academically. We have a responsibility as students to think critically, and the SA has a responsibility to engage with our critiques, not just to hear us, but to act.
To tell us that dialogue without consequences is the answer. Yet, you shut down even the introduction of Resolution 72, a move that demonstrates that instead of providing a space for student dialogue, you want to prohibit it. Instead of engaging in these difficult discussions, you avoid them. What kind of governance is this?
Okay, so this is the resolution urging Cornell University to divest from companies profiting from Israeli occupation and human rights violations. Number 17. Whereas Cornell University contracts with corporations that profit from Israel's military occupation of the West Bank and the Gaza Strip, thereby making Cornell a complicit third party in human rights abuses and violations of international law.
So at this
you all with some questions beforehand about the, I think, fairness. Since a couple of the issues that they were actually going to talk about are things that you all did address or bring up. You all can speak if you better spoke on that. And as usual, we will allot time for the community members to ask questions. Since the assembly members submitted the questions beforehand, we won't be taking questions from the floor. This is instructed during the last issue.
On the open mic that can participate on equal ground. Okay, we have a participant.
The concerns of students at the university is a number one priority that I have. And in order to deal with that priority, I schedule a variety of times with students. Dr. Murphy and I just left an hour of open student office hours at my office, which we just left. We met with student leaders yesterday, and we are here today for our usual regularly scheduled half hour with the ESA. The way that normally works is that the leadership of the ESA asks if I have any statement. I have no other statement for today. And then we spend the rest of the time taking questions. It's organized by the SA and some questions from the elected representatives, and then some time as a sort of an open mic time. and I'm very willing to do that, but it's going to be under the leadership of the SA leadership, because that's why I'm here for this half hour. There are many other opportunities to interact with me. Every one of you has my email. Every one of you can come to the open office hours, and I meet with the student leadership. So I'm here, I'm glad to take the questions, but I'm here to do it within the half hour that I've scheduled for this purpose.
Now while we're here,
I think part of the problem here is that you two have a better relationship with each other than either of you do with us.
Well, you have to give me a chance, excuse me, you have to give me a chance to answer a statement that's been made. If we're not going to talk with each other, then you're doing the same thing to me that you're accusing people of doing with you. It is true. I'm not doing this to grandstand, I just want to tell you how I feel. It is true that I have much more contact with an organized, so-called organized student, faculty, grad student, undergrad student, and employee assembly leadership. There's no question what you said is correct. It's the reason that I go to departments, and it's the reason that Dr. Murphy and I have open student office hours, which you know we advertise in the Daily Sun. Until my office is filled up, we do this on a regular basis. So I'm not disputing what you said about the more frequent relationship. I just want you to understand that I have this half-hour scheduled to be with the SA, and I just spent the last hour in open student office
I'd like to point out that this board
Excuse me.
opportunity here to speak on an unequal footing. Please turn this to to address our questions.
No, I'm just trying to tell you.
We spent the last 2 days to organize that. I'm sorry. Like it seems like you are the only one that spend time with students. We are here. I'm a graduate student. I'm finishing up my second PhD, and I take time off to participate in space of democracy. As much as I did it, there are lots of undergrads here that are taking off time from their finals. They're studying for the finals, the prelims, and the last part of the semester, one of the toughest part of the year, to be here. So we are all taking off time to participate in this space, so we'd like to complete our program. Okay, for that.
Here, you have a special privileged relationship with the SA because they are elected to supposedly represent the student body. Last week, they have proven to not act in the interest of the student body and not be representative and not participate in national democracy. So we feel that any relationship to an illegitimate body like the student assembly should not be privileged over a relationship to the students themselves who are here to actually speak for themselves where the student assembly failed to do so. Do you plan to have a half-hour conversation with the student assembly? You should have a half-hour conversation with the students themselves, or, which would be more appropriate, to allow us to continue with our open mic as the student assembly agenda is scheduled, and allow to hear students speak to you where they feel that they haven't had the opportunity to speak.
Minutes, but I have 1 minute of a closing statement to read. Then we've scheduled an open mic, which was meant for people to be heard, that weren't on our formal schedule. And I think a nice compromise would be that I finish our program and we add you to the list. Take the time you want to take to address the concerns that I've been assured actually overlap ours.
What democracy looks like. And this is not what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. It's not a body that represents our interests. It is not a body here to give us power in a democratically run university. And to be honest, I don't have faith that it maybe ever will be. What does give us power in this university is this. Look to your left, look to your right. These are your allies. When we come together like this, as we have seen today, we can take this space. We can create a space for the issues that have been silenced on this campus to be heard, and we can take power as students to have our voices heard and have a say in running this university. So I encourage you to exchange names, exchange numbers, and don't make this be the end. But rather, next time you hear something happens, students are getting together, there's something going on where people need support in order to make our voices heard, show up, support them. And when you have an issue that you care about, do the same. Put out the call. We will answer, and we will show this university what it means to be democratic.
So do I have 3 minutes? Okay. So I'll share 3 thoughts with you, maybe 1 minute each. And I want to try to unpack a bunch of different things that were said by the last few speakers categories. Number 1, my understanding from listening to you and from getting letters, emails, and reading the coverage in the Daily Sun is that you're very upset with the process, not just the process that occurred last week, but the process in general. Are you represented adequately and in a way that you feel good about by the current shared governance system? That is 100% your issue as students, just the same as the employee assembly. It's their issue how they set up their shared governance system. The same with the faculty, the same with grad students. It's your issue. Whatever you decide as a student body is fine with me. Number 2, as I mentioned before, because not everybody participates in the shared governance system, and as you mentioned, not everybody has a chance to meet with me on that regular basis. I do have these open office hours specifically for the purpose of hearing anything. There's never an agenda for that except the agenda that you guys bring. You guys meeting the 22,000 students. And thirdly, you're making some points of view about a particular content of the decision, whatever the decision might be. There's no chance in 3 minutes that I'm going to respond to you about the content of the decision, because I believe it's more complicated than you stated. You're going to have to agree with me. I'm going to have to agree with you. I have a different point of view about that. So to summarize it, how you deal with the shared governance system related to students is your issue. Deal with it through the normal channels or not deal with the normal channels, it's up to you. Number 2, I'm going to continue to go to every single normally constituted part of the shared governance system and hear what people have to say. Some of it is agreeing with the so-called administration, some is not. That's why I go around to listen to them. I don't go on the agenda, I go for their agenda. And thirdly, again, every single one of you, and every single one of the employees, and every single one of the parents, and every single one of the faculty have the opportunity in various venues that I go to speak to me about issues. And so all I can say is that I think the key problem that I'm observing over the last week or so from watching this happen, I was out of town when the thing happened last week here at the SA, is that we have not yet learned how to talk with and listen to each other across this campus. We haven't learned how to do it. We haven't learned how to do it among the student body. We haven't learned how to do it between the students and faculty. We haven't learned how to do it among the faculty and certainly between the administration. My fondest hope is that we can find a way to come together as a community to learn to speak with each other and come to some conclusions. To the extent that you want to do that, I'm with you. To the extent that you don't want to be lectured by me about certain things that you want to have your own point of view about, I also don't want to be lectured by you about things that I can have my own point of view about. I'm done. Thank you very much. Did you measure yourself that timing before?
That was before the open mic.
So on one hand, you're choosing to go with the process a certain way, I'm not choosing the process. I'm sorry, I don't think you're being fair either, but regardless, that's what I say.
I come to this meeting out of respect for the shared governance process, out of concern for the concerns you have as students. I want to really echo what President Horton said. It came up in a discussion many of us had last night at an event. We do have work to do to learn how to truly speak across difference. And we had initiatives underway trying to teach us those skills to speak and to listen. We're trying to figure out how to grow those as much as we can. But somehow as a community, we have to find a way, and when the formal system does not work as student groups wish it would work, you're doing what you are entitled to do, which is express your opinion about that. But long term, there is a necessity for a shared governance. You need to participate in that process. It's how, whether you may believe in institutions or not, we are an institution that needs to go forward working across our many roles and our many responsibilities. And as I've said to a number of the members of the Assembly with whom I shared a freedom statement last night, as an administrator, I'm not going to be in the middle of the content of your conversation. I want to spend time talking about the process of how we learn how to talk across difference. You have my commitment, Dean Hubbell's commitment, the shared governance commitment, and we will work together.
And change a university that is not run by categories like profit and convenience, but at times, just once in a blue moon, they use categories like right and justice. Thank you.